What's up, everybody? My name is Elliott, but you can call me the Motory Notary. And if you can't, the desert behind me, I am no longer in Kansas. I am in sunny Scottsdale, Arizona. And behind me, I have the 2022 Mach-e GT. Yes, I have a 2022 Ford Mach-e GT, and I'm leaving out the important part of that because this is actually called a Mustang, and that pisses a lot of people off because, well, there's not much Mustang about it other than the name. Or is there? We'll find out more when we get to driving it. But I've borrowed this Mustang Mach-e GT from Turo. It's kind of like Airbnb for cars, but it allows you to rent cool cars like this without having to go through the big rental companies. You know, Turo, the company who still won't sponsor me no matter how many of these videos I make. So, Turo, what's the deal, guys? Anyway, a little bit about this thing. It's a 2022 Ford Mach-e GT. It's Ford's electric crossover SUV, but the GT portion of this one means it's the dual motor fast version, much like when you get a Mustang GT. It means you get the V8, and this one, it means you get 2 electric motors instead of 1. And those 2 electric motors make 480 horsepower all at once. It's quite the thing. But beyond that, let's take a look around this thing and see what makes it different than your normal car and definitely your normal Mustang. And then we'll get it out on the street and do a quick driving review. These are things you got to do when you're in Scottsdale. Okay, flipping over into handheld mode here so we can walk around and look at the Mustang. On the outside, kind of, you know, normal crossover. The GT does get these kind of cool wheels. They're kind of controversial. I've heard some people say they like them, some people don't. I kind of like them. Back to that no door handle thing. It's kind of weird, but it's cool. It's like an early Corvette. It does have these little like winglets though, and that's because to open the door, you press this little button and then a little rod pushes the door out and you grab it from there. It's pretty cool. Same deal with the back. You actually just press this button here, a rod pops out, and it's cool. You can't shut it after the rod pops it out. It like waits for you to grab the door and then you can shut it. I don't know. I think that's kind of neat. It's weird, but it's cool. Around back, the main thing that differentiates the Mustang Mach-e GT is the fact that it has a GT badge rather than a horse. And you guys know I love vanity plates, and this one happens to be fun. Look, it says Mach-wee, and that'll make more sense once we drive it too, because this thing's pretty fast. Yeah, it's a pretty good looking average car. This is kind of a nondescript color. It is what it is. This is the color that's all the rage these days. The other thing that makes the Mustang Mach-e GT different is the horse on the front on the GT actually illuminates. And I know that's kind of part of the style these days, but believe it or not, the regular Mach-e doesn't light up. So there's another fun fact. Let's take a quick look at the interior before we get this thing out there, because it is 100 degrees outside and I'd much rather be in the air conditioning. We're back to button and winglet, and in here you can see, well, I've got stuff because I'm here for the Barrett-Jackson, but it's a pretty handsome interior. The seats are cool. They're a little bit different in the GT. They're pretty grippy and sporty, a little bit better bolstering. When you actually fully climb in to the Mach-e GT, you can see you have this massive vertical screen here, and it's got all sorts of cool stuff it can do. But the one thing I want to point out is that it's not like a Tesla. It doesn't just have that big screen. It also has a little driver's screen that tells you all of your really important information. This is all kind of pure infotainment, but it's also where you can select drive modes and change settings and stuff, and I kind of like what they did there. So what you can see here is you have these 3 drive modes: whisper, and it kind of changes some stuff around. A seamless drive, calm and quiet, smoother acceleration and steering, the best mode for slippery conditions. I'm not interested in any of that. So you go back to engage, things get a little bit cooler. It says balance drive, everyday fun. Sounds good. I'm an everyday fun kind of guy. But then you go to this, and this is great. It's called Unbridle, and it's really sticking with the horse theme here. And when it's nighttime, everything lights up red. And of course it says exhilarating drive, machine and road align as one, more responsive acceleration and steering. Now that sounds like the mode we need to keep it in when we take this out on the street. But anyway, back to the interior. You've got a huge panoramic sunroof. Rear seats are pretty great as well. It's overall a great layout. Nothing crazy, nothing insanely innovative, but it's just a good, well thought out, well laid out interior. The only other thing I'll show you is how to get out, which I think is kind of neat. So no regular door handle here. You use this little like pull tab and it makes the little rod open the door again. Pretty cool. Let's look at what storage looks like on this thing. So to do that, you can go on your screen here and you can hit the frunk button and the rear storage button. And when you do that, liftgate opens right up as it should, and you're greeted with pretty good storage. The low roof line kind of It doesn't help if you have any tall items, and you can see my Barrett-Jackson passes and my other microphone. Fun, you're getting like a behind the scenes look here, guys. Isn't this neat? But the thing that makes electric cars fun is that they have front storage, unlike the Cadillac Lyriq. So I guess that's not a good point, but most of them do, and this one does. So underneath the frunk, you have some storage and like a bunch of hay. I don't know if this guy was like hauling hay bales or something in this, but well, it's here, there's storage, and that's what matters. Now, let's get this thing out on the road and see how it drives, especially compared to the Cadillac Lyriq.
What can I get started for you?
Yes, hi, can I get a tall caramel Mach-E Auto?
And that was hot or ice?
Hot, please.
Anything else for you?
Nope, that'll do it.
I'll see you out the window.
Okay, Mach-E Auto, Mach-E Auto, we're set. Okay, out on the road in the Mustang Mach-E GT, or in this case, the Mach-E, as you saw on the plate. First impressions, first of all, these aren't really my first impressions because I've been driving this for a few days, but immediate impressions are that it drives like a nice crossover. I mean, it should be, because these are like $67,000. But no, road holding is fine. It doesn't feel like it weighs 1,000,000 pounds, because it kind of doesn't. In fact, in my research, I was wondering why this feels so much faster than the Lyriq. And the Lyriq has 500 horsepower. This has a measly 480. It's because this is 1,000 pounds lighter than the Lyriq, and I don't think the Lyriq feels very heavy. So that being said, a lot of that whole, oh, these electric cars are so heavy and, you know, blah, 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 it's really not, and it definitely doesn't feel like it. And obviously, you've got all of the power to match. One other thing that I have and that I love is that this does have a lot of self-driving things. Like, I'm not stopping right now. That it not only has one pedal driving, but it'll also do stop and go traffic and always lane keep assist. And of course, when you get on the highway, you have Ford's Blue Cruise, which is obviously their version of Super Cruise. Maybe we'll demonstrate that, maybe not. But the important thing is just the general driving capabilities. And right now, we are in what you would be doing if you had one of these, just kind of normal traffic. And, you know, it will practically drive itself. I mean, I don't really need to have steering input, but it gets pretty pissy if you don't, at least unless you're on the highway. Let's test out the other party trick, and that is putting it on bridled mode and then giving it a little bit of the juice. Jesus. It makes a pretty cool little synthetic sound, and I'm telling you, it is, it's fast, like genuinely really fast. And one of the problems with doing driving reviews in towns you're not familiar with is you don't really know where to go. In fact, we ended up on the highway, so I can just do Blue Cruise now. And here we go. I demonstrated the speed, and now I can demonstrate not driving. In fact, like I said, you can show the screen here. It just says hands-free, and I don't need to be touching the wheel whatsoever. Now, here's my review of this. So I've shown you Super Cruise before, and it's really, really good. In fact, it'll change lanes for you. Not only will this not change lanes for you, but even if I put on the turn signal, it still won't do anything. So you have to like cancel it, switch lanes, and then reactivate it. That's probably my biggest peeve with this entire car, is like, they give you this ability to let it drive itself, and then they're like, unless you actually need to switch lanes, which is something you need to do a lot. But there you go. It has Blue Cruise. Silly name, but it definitely works, and this would save you a lot of fatigue over a long drive. Now, let's get back off the highway and do fast stuff again, because that's really what the GT is all about. Okay, so now we are off the highway, and we can do the party trick again. Again, unbridled mode, and it doesn't make a lot of noise, but here we go. Oh my goodness, and there's 60, 70. It's crazy. It's seriously, I mean, I know I've been driving a lot of electric cars lately, but it's seriously so fast. The thing that's shocking to me is, like I said, it's down 20 horsepower than the Lyriq, but it feels so much faster. And like I said earlier, it's 1,000 pounds lighter. I mean, when Porsche makes a lightweight version of a car, it's 100 pounds lighter. So imagine what a 20 horsepower difference versus 1,000 pounds makes. I can tell you from being in the driver's seat of both of them, it makes a huge difference in the way that they feel. And I don't think the Lyriq feels slow, but subtract 20 horsepower and 1,000 pounds from it, and boy, is it fast. And it, like I said, just never gets old going. Of course, I'm absolutely killing my range because it's 100 degrees outside. I've got 59% battery left, but that leads me to another good point. Because this is a rental car and because it's a 2022, this is a good example of what one of these with some age on it does. This has 40,000 miles, which again, actually really surprised me. That's a lot of miles between now and 2022. But what really surprised me is the battery range. When I picked this thing up, it was actually at 100% charged and it had like 292 miles of range. That's really, really good for a car that's got quite a few miles on it. This might be the highest mileage electric car maybe I've ever driven, other than like the Tesla from CarTrek that had like 100,000 miles on it, but that only had like 160 miles of range. This thing, the battery, is actually holding up really, really well. Another thing that 480 horsepower gives you the confidence to do is pull out into traffic and just see it chirps the tires. It's seriously so fast. This thing actually is like scrambling for traction all the time. It absolutely never gets old. Oh, I love this thing, but we should probably head back to the Barrett-Jackson auction because that's really what I'm here for. But you gotta fit in a driving review when you can. Okay, so that is the 2022 Mustang Mach-E GT. It's pretty freaking great. Nothing insanely remarkable, like I said, nothing innovative, but for a daily driver in an electric car, this thing's awesome. Like I said, this one has 40,000 miles and still gets almost 300 miles of range. That's really good battery life right there. I mean, if you consider the life of a battery, I mean, I don't know. It's been a few years and a lot of miles, and this thing still has a ton in it. Not to mention that it is crazy fast, especially for the price. I like it a whole lot. Even if people don't think it's a real Mustang, I think it's pretty cool. Anyway, that's gonna do it for this video, guys. Follow me on Facebook, join my Facebook group. It's a great place to share memes, and I'm almost always in there interacting in the comments. And of course, follow me on Instagram because I show a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and you would have seen that this video was coming up if you just followed me on Instagram. I also had a lot of great time sharing stuff on my story from the Barrett-Jackson here. That's going to do it, guys. I will see you guys back in Wichita, and I will see you guys on the next video. Wait, hold on. It's not doing it yet. Again. He got all mad at me. Come on, Blue Cruise. Okay, do it. Why is it not doing it?